Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Don't say hello yet. I don't have my glasses on. I'm just cleaning them off. I couldn't see a thing. I still can't see a thing. My word. Okay. Hi, guys. How are you, Brahim? And I bet you Mike comes up next. Let's see. No, Andrea, Niagara Falls. There's Mike, number 3 today from Norland. Nice to have you on with us, guys. We appreciate it. Karen from Kincardine and Kevin. The K's are in. Chantal, Ottawa, bonjour. Fran, Orangeville. Good morning. Carrie, Nebraska. And Donna from Bell Valley. Mary from Norwich. Good morning to you. Wendy from London. And Dan, good morning. Danny, how are you? And Elsie, nice to have you on. Sandy. And Wendy from Markham. And Doris, Kitchener. Nancy, Iowa. And Donna from Park Hill. And Yolande, bonjour. Jeanette, bonjour. And Deb from Motown. And Rose, how are you? Cheryl. And Rita from Nouveau Brunswick. Nicole from our staff. Nick and Diane, how are you? Catherine, Parksville, British Columbia. Dave from Muskoka says hello. And Lori from Niagara Falls. The Kidneys of Canada. Sue. Linda. Oh, I was waiting for a Linda to come on. Donna. And Judy. And Sharon from Leduc, Alberta. Doug, how are you? And Tina. Rosalinda. Still snowing in Niagara Falls. I know, here too. Diane, how are you? Catherine, Newfoundland. April. Okay, couple of more and let's get going. Lise. Dowling. Gary. Coffee in Bolton. And Nellie. Nellie thinks I forget her. Or Nativity does. Beverly. Denise. Oakville. Verna. Good morning. And Vince, nice to have you on. Okay, let's get to the questions, guys. Okay. I've noticed, this is from Art. I noticed that mainstream cardiologists are using SGLT2 meds to treat heart failure. And what those medications do, okay, they, you pee out sugar and salt. And so my question is heart failure caused by insulin resistance of the heart cells? Yes, it's a big factor. Okay, it's a big factor. You know, it's probably a little bit more than that too. Like, I mean, when you look at plaque in the arteries, look, one thing for sure is, and I posted this morning too, okay? So if you're on our private Facebook group, I posted a study that was done a long time ago, that people who had the highest triglycerides and the lowest cholesterol were, is it 16 times more? Let me get it. I'll get it for you because I might as well quote it properly. Let me just get this study here. And what does it say? I think I have it right here. Yeah, here it is. Study. And And this was done in Circulation, the magazine, 1997. This is how far back it goes, guys. But here it is, okay? Study participants with the highest triglycerides and the lowest HDL were 16 times more likely to have a heart attack than those with the lowest triglycerides and the highest HDL cholesterol. And the question is asked, why then are MDs ignoring the triglyceride HDL ratio? Look, sugar, if you reduce your sugar, Art, okay? If you reduce your sugar, you're going to reduce your triglycerides and your HDL will come up. It's just a fact. So there is, they're doing it artificially. They're getting rid of sugar in the body. The problem with that, the med, is you're not fixing insulin resistance. You're not fixing that. The only thing that will fix insulin resistance is a diet, a low carb diet, a low sugar diet. And, you can't out-medicate a bad diet. You just can't. Okay? Thanks for the question, Art. We appreciate it big time. Okay, so let me get back to the questions. And can it be remedied by a patient going into ketosis? Well, it helps. You get rid of sugar, you're going to help. And the diet will get rid of insulin resistance. So you're absolutely right. Marina is dealing with itching all over her body for over a year. Well, it's interrupting her sleep. There's no rash, anything visible. Well, a couple of things, okay, Marina, that you need to look at, okay? And again, because you're not my patient and I can't ask you about 20 questions that I would like to ask you, I'm just going to give you some of my experience. Have I seen that before? Yes. One thing that can cause like an invisible rash it's invisible, you can't see it, or an itch like that. Here's what I've seen, okay, over the years. Severe insulin resistance. So, Marina, whatever you do, start with the reset. Get rid of insulin resistance. I've seen it over and over again in my days of practice. One. The other one, I think I mentioned this last week, is sometimes when the thyroid is out of whack, you can get an itch. The other one, to me, is more obvious, or probably more likely, is you have a fungal or a yeast infection inside. You got yeast coming out the wazoo. I've seen that a lot. Or possibly parasites. We don't talk about parasites that much. We should. I was reading an article the other day. I'm not telling you to get rid of your pet, but I'm telling you not to sleep with the pet. Okay? Parasites, especially cats. I know I'm hard on cats. Okay. Thanks, Marina, for the question. Start with the reset, because if you don't feed yeast, the reset is so good in a lot of ways. It fixes insulin resistance, but the reset also, you're not feeding yeast. Yeast needs to be fed. Okay? Thank you. We appreciate it. Oh, after doing some research, she said, I should have read the rest. I've narrowed it down to a neuropathy itch. Could be, but again, how do you get neuropathy? How do diabetics get neuropathy? It's sugar neuropathy. You see, what your body wants to do, Marina, your body is dedicated to do it, is get sugar out of your bloodstream. Why? Because sugar is toxic. Your body knows that. We don't know it. The world doesn't know it. Medicine doesn't know it. Dietitians don't know it. Most nutritionists don't know it. But your body knows it. Fearfully and wonderfully made. You know what your body does? It will not allow sugar to stay in the bloodstream. So if neuropathy, the number one cause of neuropathy is sugar staying in the bloodstream that damages capillaries. And when capillaries get damaged, that's the first thing that happens. Capillaries are damaged. Capillaries feed nerves. Thus, diabetic neuropathy. So common in diabetics. So I would say to you, Marina, okay, and you ought to look at this, possibly you're a diabetic without knowing that you're a diabetic. And I you know how I think, I don't worry too much about your blood sugar because you can be a diabetic without effectively being a diabetic in terms of a traditional diagnosis. And diabetes comes when your insulin is not responding or your cells are not responding to insulin. Okay? So I'm glad you put that at the end, Marina. I didn't read it. And then the other thing with neuropathy too is B12. B12 is the neurological vitamin. So I don't know what your levels are, Marina, but you might look at taking B12 sublingual. Laurie, what do you think of slippery elm? I like it. I like it. If you look at our digestive aid, okay, gutties, it's all mucilages in there. What are mucilages? Well, they're like slippery elm is a mucilage. It smooths out the gut. It lubricates the gut, okay? Those are mucilages. And I like that, okay? And slippery elm is certainly a good one. I like combining things a little bit more, but hey, no problem at all. Okay, before Chantal, we have Deborah. If your knees are bone on bone, can bone broth help regrow cartilage? Look, it ain't a miracle. Because if you're bone on bone, it depends. It depends on age. It depends on your quality of nutrition. Your body can regenerate. It's amazing. I've seen cartilage regenerate. But if you're bone on bone, it depends. And just doing bone broth, it's helpful. But I would be on higher levels of vitamin D, tremendous for bone, tremendous for inflammation. I would be on Navitol because it increases blood supply. I would be on curcumin because curcumin is a tremendous anti-inflammatory. So all of those things I would look at, Deborah. Okay, Chantal. How does Dr. Martin feel about supplements GLP-1? Like GLP-1 is a supplement like, a medication like Wegovy, Metformin, Ozempic. Those are GLP-1s. Now, in terms of supplements, berberine, it's not a GLP-1 per se. It stimulates GLP-1. And look, let's talk about this for a minute because I think it's an important question. There are medications, okay? There are medications that are promising, they're diabetic drugs, but they promise to lower fat, or they're used as weight loss medications. What do I think of those medications? Not much. They're like a designer drug today. So I don't think too much of them because if you use it for weight loss, and a lot of people in Hollywood are, and big stars and whatever, look, there's some major, major side effects to those medications, number one. And number two, when you're losing weight with a GLP-1 medication, you're losing muscle, not fat. You lose a little bit of fat, but not much. You're losing more muscle. And the supplements, I got no problem with them. You know, for years I talked about alpha-lipoic acid. I've talked about cinnamon. I've talked about the best of the best is coffee. Okay? Because it regulates your blood sugar when you have a coffee with a meal. I've taught you that. I've shown you the research on that. It acts like metformin without the side effects. So I got no problem with, we had our insulin balance, which was a combination of several supplements together, including alpha-lipoic acid and cinnamon and a few other things that I liked in there. Hopefully it comes back. You don't want to get me going on that. Approved, and then they want to reapprove it. Oh, anyway. Okay, but listen, guys, again, here's the rule of thumb. You can't out-medicate or you can't out-supplement a bad diet. So I've always stated this in the past. You start with food. That's the foundation, is food. And supplements, yes. Medication, I tell you to be very careful with it. The side effects long-term are legion. And I mean that. And so I tell you to be extremely cautious. Susan, does taking the thyroid balance formula stimulate any of the thyroid levels, and can this create nodules? No, it's not meant to do that. It's meant, thanks for the question, Susan, but thyroid formula is meant to balance your thyroid. If you look at the ingredients, I have the bottle right in front of me, okay? Everything that I put in there, iodine, okay? And I don't go overboard on iodine, okay? Be- because, look, again, I like iodine. Your thyroid needs iodine. But one of the things that needs to go with iodine is selenium. You know when you get selenium? How do you get selenium in food? It's only found in the animal kingdom. Your thyroid depends on it. I'll tell you, you can use all the iodine in the world, but if you don't feed your thyroid selenium, it's not going to work properly. Okay? And I like L-tyrosine. It's an amino acid. That's very, very important for the thyroid. Okay? I like L-carnitine. I put that in there too. But it's not meant to, it's meant to balance. So if you're low hypothyroid, your thyroid is sluggish, it balances it. If your thyroid is high, hyperthyroid, and Graves, autoimmune, it's meant to balance it. Now, keep in mind, okay, and I always talk about the thyroid as a puppet. It never acts alone. Our thyroid formula is meant to start in the hypothalamus. Because if you don't start there, and you're only aiming at the thyroid, you're not understanding how the thyroid is like a puppet. It never acts alone. And Tony Jr. likes to say, the thyroid often gets framed. It's not the culprit. It gets blamed for a crime that it didn't commit. You better put the whole package together when it comes to thyroid. You have to look at the ladies, the ovaries, estrogen, progesterone. You have to look at cortisol. We talked about cortisol this week. The stress hormone. Cortisol robs progesterone. Okay? If you got high cortisol over a long period of time, it robs your progesterone. When your progesterone gets robbed, you get a condition called estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance will slow your thyroid to a crawl. Why do women have, comparatively, so much more trouble losing weight than a man? And I always said to you, right? Food, key to losing weight. It's not calories, it's quality, not quantity of food. But even then, women are complicated because they have ovaries. And stress can really affect weight loss. So there's a lot of things there. The thyroid, yes. And, anyway, okay? Hopefully that is a good explanation for you. Susan, Carol, a friend was told by her doctor that vitamin D toxicity, here we go again. She says her friend has that, or the doctor said that her friend has vitamin D toxicity. And that can cause pancreatic cancer. Your thoughts on the connection between vitamin D and pancreatic cancer? It's the opposite. It's the opposite. When you have low levels of vitamin D, when you have low levels of vitamin D, every cancer, every risk of almost every type of cancer, including pancreatic, goes up. Vitamin D toxicity, man, they love to talk about that. The war on vitamin D. There's a war going on. You know, I read in my Bible, okay, there's a war going on. Okay? If you read Ephesians 6, it says we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the invisible world out there. Okay? Now, why am I saying that? Because there's a war going on in the world on vitamin D. Why? Because there's no money to be made in vitamin D. And I'm telling you, at least in Canada, if the Canadian government gets their way, you won't even be able to get vitamin D without a prescription. And doctors, like this one, okay, well, if you are toxic in vitamin D, it can increase your risk of pancreatic cancer. There isn't a study in the world that says that. As a matter of fact, they say the opposite of that. But I'm telling you, it's unreal. Guys, I bring you back to the virus. Okay? And remember what I said. Was I right? I was 100% right. What did I say during the virus? I said, get in the sun. It's an airborne virus. A mask, what a waste. Unless you're wearing the invisible mask, vitamin A. But what I was saying is let's all get into the sun. I literally, guys, I was on the beach in Florida when they closed the beaches. I was there. I was there at the day at in Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Okay, on the East Coast, just above Miami, and they actually, the police came and they closed the beaches, and they meant business. Guys, I was screaming like John the Baptist in the wilderness. Hello! Are you guys crazy or what? The best thing for a virus is the sun. I was trying to remind them of the Spanish flu. In 1914 to 18, it killed I don't know how many millions of people. And then they figured out, oh, if we can just get these people in the sun. When the sun came out, it was unreal, the results. I get so uptight because it's crazy. Vitamin D, oh, it's the best. Look, and you know my expression. Linus Pauling won a Nobel Prize on vitamin C. Not the real one, the other one, ascorbic acid. Okay? He won a Nobel Prize in medicine. And by the way, he deserved it. But I always said this, even in the 70s, he only missed out by one letter in the alphabet. Because he was talking about the importance of vitamin C, ascorbic acid, and I believed in the importance of vitamin D, the sun. Sun, steak, and steel. I know that's not your fault. Carol, but I'm glad you brought it up because it gets me. If the world had given everybody vitamin D and got their vitamin D levels up, we would have done so much better. You know what I was saying even in Canada? We spent so much money in Canada, it was unreal through the virus. I mean, it's just unreal. Because of it, we have inflation today. We spent just millions and billions of dollars. And it would have been cheaper to bring, what are we in Canada now, 40 million people? It would have been cheaper to all fly us down to Florida and sit on the beach. Oh, I'm telling you. Anywho, okay. Yeah, there is a connection between vitamin D and pancreatic cancer. When you're low in vitamin D, not when you're high in vitamin D. Look, I don't want you to be toxic, but this is a fact, guys, okay? The last recorded, or at least what we know, we'd have to go back. 2023, the stats are not out. But in 2022, I'm going to tell you something in Canada. There wasn't one person that died from an overdose of vitamin D. Not one. We know that. And I think there might have been one or two people that died from drinking too much water. Now, does that mean you don't drink water? Nah, just that, I think they were marathon runners or whatever, and they drank way too much water and with not enough salt, and it killed them. Well, let's throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I think of water and how you need it. Oh, anyway, do I ever get excited, guys? I can't help it. It drives me mental. Okay. Deborah, why do people develop AFib? Well, I have a theory. Why do we see so much AFib today? We don't eat enough. Remember what I said about sun, steak, and steel? AFib is a big problem in our society today. You know why? We don't eat enough steak and we don't get enough vitamin D. Your heart needs vitamin D and your heart needs vitamin S, steak, for CoQ10. I'm telling you. You don't have enough vitamin D, your heart is affected by that. You don't have enough vitamin S, your heart is affected by that. And that's why you see a lot of people, vegans, vegetarians, who think plants are the best food in the world. They're not. Your heart, look, I'm not saying plants are no good for you. What I am saying is your heart needs CoQ10. And you're only elevating your CoQ10 when you're eating steak. And you need the sun. And you need magnesium too. Like magnesium, there's no more magnesium in the soil. Okay? So it's not in our food really. And so I love magnesium. Okay? But I'm telling you, the key is vitamin D and vitamin S for AFib. Okay. Thanks, Deborah. Maureen, I got a lot on. Is this going to be a question and answer Monday again? Let me see. We'll see what we can do. Maureen says, doctors say I have osteoporosis. Can this be reversed? Should I get my hormone levels checked? Well, look, hormones have a big effect on osteoporosis. There's no doubt about that. Getting them checked, with hormones, Maureen, I would tell you to, what are your symptoms? Okay? I'm much bigger when it comes to osteoporosis. The number one thing you got to do with osteoporosis is not calcium. It's muscle. You need, Maureen, to get strong. Okay? And I personally do not like those meds that are called bone building meds. I really don't like them because they don't build the right kind of bone anyway, but that's not the point. I don't like the side effects of them either. But I always tell people the best thing you can do is vitamin E, exercise, and especially resistant exercises. Get strong. Now, obviously, you know this. I don't have to tell you. Even doctors would admit you need vitamin D. Make sure your vitamin D levels, even more than your hormonal levels, are optimized. Not normal, but optimized vitamin D. And you need vitamin D. Take your vitamin D with vitamin K2. That's why, you see, look, in nature, when you eat a piece of cheese, okay, let's talk about cheese for a minute. Oh, Dr. Martin, anybody knows this. You learn this in grade school. When you eat cheese, you got calcium. Okay? But then they tell you don't eat it because it's dairy. It's bad. Dairy's bad. I feel sorry for farmers because dairy's not bad. Cheese is good for you, but it's got calcium. But it doesn't come with calcium alone. You know what God put in it? Vitamin K2. K2 is found in the animal kingdom. In dairy, in butter, in cheese, in steak, in eggs, in meat. That's how you get vitamin K2. Take vitamin D with K2. That's why we combine the two. Because calcium, vitamin D will help with your bone. But you want it to get to the bone. You want that calcium to get to the bone and not stay in your bloodstream. That's what K2 does. I don't like calcium supplements. Okay? I think I got to finish this on Monday, guys. Hold on. Let me look at another question. Get strong. Okay, let's do the rest. Yeah, because I got about 7 or 8 more questions. I got too excited about vitamin D. I want to scream, guys, every day. I just can't stand stupidity. I can't stand it. I don't like to be duped. The world, I feel sorry for them. The misinformation out there. Okay. Guys, we love you. Thanks for sending in all those good questions. We appreciate that. And we'll finish up this, Lord willing, on Monday. Okay? Another session. The Doctors In podcast. You guys have made this such a successful program. It's you. Okay? It's you. Okay. We love you. We'll talk to you soon.